Okay, as you can see, the brackets are now in, the roof beam is all on, the cross beams I've put in, and I've sticker flexed all round, so it's going to be watertight, he thought, until I took a better look at the vent. And I'm just going to show you this, because this is one of those points where you think, do you, don't you? And this is an obvious. So as you can see by this piece here, I'm just going to come back a bit, it's actually lower down, and when I put a batten of wood, that's, I'll just show you this in better detail, that's the seal. So you put the sticker flex along there and it seals, but this, as you can see, is actually bent backwards. So if I put a piece of wood on it to simulate what it would look like on the roof, you can see there's a blooming great gap there. So there's no point in putting this back up other than to plug the hole that's there at the moment. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy a new one of these, and there's a secondary reason, because if you look here, you can actually see the plastic is not only degraded, it's broken off. It's split there, so water is definitely going to come in there if I put this back up and leave it there. In fact, out of all the four sides, there's actually only one side that's even straight. Here, look, there's a big chunk missing on that one. The worst part for me is that there are 3 of these, and if you can imagine having an older style, or 2 older style ones in 2 places on the motorhome, and then a brand new one, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. So chances are I'm going to have to buy 3 of these. They're not cheap, and it is a shame, but there's no way I want to strip Miranda's roof apart again to repair water damage, which this is going to give. And I think this was the reason why we had so much damage in here, was this vent along this seal all the way around here had gone. People had tried to fix it, and to be honest with you, some of this seal, I think I've got a piece down there, this stuff, as you can see, it's like a powder. I don't know what that was used, but I would suspect that was probably putty, and not even sticker flakes, but you know, that's obviously been there since time immemorial, and it's no good anymore. So yep, that's got to go. For the moment, I'm going to put this back in the hole as it is, because something is better than nothing against the elements. But I'm not even going to bother putting sticker flex. I'm just going to get online, order a new one, and go from there. So right, as you can see, the 2 beams are now in. That's all nicely sealed. I'm just waiting for the new vents to come, so that's loosely screwed in, but it isn't sealed now. But I've also managed to replace the timbers and that around this door. 3 types of sealer in there was just ridiculous, so that's done. And yeah, then I start putting in the foam. I've wedged a little piece in there, as you can see. Take that cupboard out, take the boiler out, and then start paneling in all of these spare places like mad, you know, just to get rid of the 4 bloody great sheets of Kingspan that I've got. As you see, there's one of them there. I've started putting some of the wiring roughly in place, but then I'll start, once I've done this side, I can then pass the wires through on this level, keeping it all on the same level throughout. That's just a little bit of safety there, because obviously, you know, if all the electrics are in one place and they're behind the cupboards, then yes, they're harder to get to, but also if anyone decides to drill a screw or put a screw into the wall, they're less likely to hit it. So we'll get there. Tomorrow it'll be putting the insulation in the different places, and then following day, Monday, it's going to be sorting out the wiring. Okay, back again. So, well, I've been busy here. So basically what I've done is I've taken out this door, which originally was the cartridge door for the toilet. That whole area now going along here is going to be a cupboard space for external, so it'll be blocked off on the inside. but a storage space for outside for things like umbrellas, beach umbrellas, that sort of thing. But as you can see, I've already started making moves on the insulation. It's fiddly stuff. This is it's a lot harder to work with than polystyrene, because polystyrene you can crush into places. With this stuff, which is really dense. I mean, if I try and crush that, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on that, it doesn't crush. So thermal properties are a lot better, but cutting that to the exact size of a frame is not easy, but with a bit of patience you can do it. You cut it with a knife. I've got a particularly interesting knife that I bought down the hobby store. It's this thing, and the reason I say it's interesting because it expands on its own, but the length of the blade is great for cutting through. You can then snap it in half, and then cut down the length. It's foiled both sides so that it prevents the moisture getting through, and obviously insulates the inside from the outside, which means hopefully less damp. Just a little one here. This is a new addition to Mithrandir. It's a rear view camera, so use the little hole drill that came with it. The skin of these motorhomes are actually really quite thin, so it's very easy to drill a hole there. As you can, if I get a bit closer in this, you can see that's the amount of sticker flex I put around it on both the inside and the outside. So I'll cut away the excess on the outside to trim it up, make it look a bit neater. Well, basically what it does is it plugs in to there. There's a little red and an amber one. Then I'm going to run that all the way round in this void section. I'm going to try and keep all the cables in one area. That'll go all the way down through that wall. There's a hole there, and then drop down to the driver's piece round here. And this mirror, as you can probably see from the wires on top of it, is the actual video display. So the middle of that is a TV camera. Sorry, a TV screen. Oh, call it a monitor. But yeah, it basically, and I can't see the reason for putting in a mirror in a motorhome, because if you look at the back, what can you see? You know, not a lot. So having a camera at the back is pretty useful. Anyway, I'm going to crack on, because you can see this is very messy stuff. One thing I would like to point out though, and this is a bit of a cost saving thing. So that's an offcut. It's quite a big offcut, you know. But if you look around here, you can see loads of sections. Let me just show you what I mean here. So I can go along and I can just offer this up. It's too small for that, but if I cut that just right, this will fit nicely into that void space. So don't throw these bits away until you've absolutely finished, because it's just, you know, as you can see from some of these places, and even things like this one got me. You know, there's a little strip there all the way along, 20 millimeters in depth, and 20 millimeters in height as well. So yeah, and you see there's a few more of them to go. So even the offcuts of the big sheets, you know, don't throw them away until you're done. Anyway, time to crack on. So just to let you know, I've got now all the way down to the front. We're going to leave that last piece because the bit beyond it was already done, so I know that this is good. You can see that's all nice wood up there, so no problems. As you can see, I'm carrying on with the wiring system. So this is the original wiring here, which I'm going to tap into because it's already run over. If I go over this way, already run over to where I'm going to put my 12-volt management system. The square plate you can see, and I've got to show this. So this here is the awning for the 3-meter Fiamma awning. As you can see, that's held nicely in place with a bit of polystyrene. So that's got to come out, obviously. This is the one that I've put in. As you can see, that's a nice solid dot of wood in there, and if anyone wants to replace theirs, it's actually not hard to do. Quite easy, because this little plate here, if you cut the wood to size, put the plate over the top, mark your holes, and then you slide it in, job's done. You know, it's really that simple. As you can see, all of the insulation's now in on this section, so it's all nicely cut down. Obviously I've got two very large boards to go, but considering that side it's all bare, and you know, there's only certain panels already in, I'm probably going to need another couple of panels of that, because the rest of the roof has to be done, and all these little infill bits. So it's yeah, it's quite a task, but it's coming together. The idea is once I've got all this wiring tucked away and in place, and you know, I can get the boards in then, especially on this overhead stuff, because, you know, give you an example, there's going to be 4 or 5 wires go through this section here, because what I'm doing, what I've decided to do, is going to build a little unit, a low level unit here. The boiler's going to sit in this section, so all the wiring that goes for the switches, so that as you come in the door you can put the lights on to see your way rather than falling in. You know, that's all going to be run down here, but where you get a piece of infill in like there, you can push this to the back like that, put the thermion insulation in, and it keeps it nice and safe. So that's the game plan. This is kind of interesting. There's the flue for the boiler, standard 110mm flue. Yeah, going to be reusing that, because it makes no sense to be cutting more holes in Mithrandir. And then we've got the air vent there, which is, I have no idea what that was originally used for, because to be quite frank, that was inside a cupboard. But as it happens, we're going to take that out, put a nice little 12-volt electric fan in there, so when we build the shower cubicle in this area, that'll be the exhaust. So we're making it, or upcycling as the latest term is, to you know, to save cutting more holes in the outer skin. So apart from that, it's all coming together quite nicely. Gonna crack on now, and I'll catch up with you when I've done a lot more of the wiring. Welcome back. So this is the momentous part of the build, the first panel. So as you can see, I've cut the panel to size, quite simply put. Where you've got the join here, I've measured it so that it can just fit over there. If it sits properly on the floor like that, there you go, comes up, and that's a perfect fit. What I've also done, and this is a word to the wise, is put the pen marks for the battens that are going vertically down, and I've done the same at this end. More importantly, I've done the ones at the side, as you can see right there. Now the reason they are so important is because when I go to put the bed frame in, I'm going to be fixing to the horizontal battens some more wood, which will also help pin this in place, but has to be said, I've been putting this off for some time now, putting the first one up. It's a bit nerve-wracking, because you're thinking, God, have I run all the wires I need to run? Have I done everything I need to do? The bottom line is you've just got to crack on with it. So I'm going to go and get me power lead, so I can plug in the staple gun. I'm going to use the gun itself to start with on this. It's smaller staples, they're much thinner, as in they're probably about 4mm across, just to tack it in place. Reason being is, if you're doing this on your own, you can hold it with one hand, pull a trigger, and it just holds it. Then I can go around with the bigger staple gun, which is a manual job, and that has 18mm staples in it, in length, which will hold it in place. So onwards and upwards, and I might just video the first part of this just so you can see what a Pig Zero make of this one. But yeah, game on. Right, well, I hope this is going to work video wise, that means. The rest of it's okay. So So this is the gun that I bought from the local hardware store. Cost me, I think it was £55. Quite good. You can, it says, throwing a piece of wood there just to demonstrate. Just press, pull the trigger. It says, safety feature. Push the trigger and you've got a staple. It's not all the way in, so I'm just going to turn up the power on that, and that's the one we're just going to use to stay, to tack it in place. So just sit it there on the board. Just want to make sure the seating properly. That's nice. You see that's quite solid even there. And then just going to put a first tack there. As you can see, that's now held it in place. Just going to tack along this top beam in a few places. That's it. And this is really just to hold it in place. Marked out the cross beams. That's why I'm putting a tacks like that just to hold it, and because I can do this, I'm just going to turn this sideways. Put a couple in the bottom, because there's a piece that goes right the way along the base of this. As you can see, that's it. You can see it's quite firm even now, but what I will do is I'll mark these lines right down so that I can find the battens here. I'll put a tack or two there first. I'm just going to do this one because it's in the middle. It's pretty easy to find, as you can see. The more you tack in. Now I'm not too worried about the tacks being visible at this point in time, because the whole of this is going to be, well, half of this is going to be underneath the bed frame, so I'm not worried. But also, you can bang those tacks in or tap them in gently with a hammer just to finish them off. If you've got a decent gun, as I said before, I'll try to find my one. It's right down the other end of the van. But if you can get a decent gun, great. This was cheap and cheerful. I did have an offer of somebody with one of the big gas ones, but they're so heavy, and they will drive through everything. Basically, I want to use something that's lighter for this. It's only 3.6mm ply. This is the standard hardwood ply. I did actually ask online, what sort of ply you should use, and the answer is local stores do hardwood. 3.6mm more than enough. You don't want to go heavier than that, but it's easy to work with. However, and I will do this later, right at the top there is a curve, and you need a special type of ply, a bendy ply. They do one. These boards don't bend very much, but to do a nice sharp curve like that, you need a bendy ply. Now, there are two types. There is long grain and cross grain. I think I've got that right. But anyway, the one you want is the long grain, and what it means is if you look at plywood, you can see the grain of the wood's going this way. Okay, so it means if you get the long grain one, it bends round in that direction, which is what you want when you're doing the big curve at the top. So yeah, words of the wise, get yourself one of those sheets. That's all you need. You don't need to go mad. They're more expensive than these for obvious reasons, because you can finish it off nicely. But anyway, as far as this one goes, pat myself on the back here. That's on. As I say, I'm not going to bore you to tears with the tack and the rest of it, but first panel in place. So now what I've got to do is cut the second panel, which is going to go from the top of this upwards, and just so that you're clear, this edge, another hot tip for you, is the edge of the board when it came. The bottom edge is the edge that I cut. Now the reason being for that is that's going to be visible and that isn't, so that's fine with me. You know, I'm quite happy because, as I said before, there's going to be a seat that goes round here. That's going to be right at the bottom of the seat. There's going to be a batten in the bottom of that as part of the framework. You know, you're not going to see it. If there's any slight gaps, which there is, there's about a millimetre gap here in the middle. It's probably where I've tightened down this board, this floorboard, slightly more than that one. Don't know, don't care. It's not going to be seen. And the bottom line is all of this ply that's visible is either going to be painted or it's going to have a plastic sheet coating that you can buy. The wife's picked out a very nice marbled effect one, which you can just stick on. It's a bit like wallpaper, but you use a brush to get out the air bubbles, a bit like you would when you're laminating a car. Work at one corner, fan out as you go, and it just sticks on. It's waterproof, which is another bonus for it. So it doesn't retain any water. Previously Miranda had standard wallpaper on it, which was fine. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, we're going for the upmarket version, and it's going to come together. I think it'll look nice. The difficult one now is to measure this one to the next. So this bit, the measurement from there to the halfway up the top of that big frame there, and the reason it's halfway is because the bendy ply goes in. That's easy. The width I already know. So you know, 209 centimeters or 2.9 meters, if you want to put it that way, is the width. Got that. Measure that up. That's easy. The bit I've got to try and figure out now is, once you offer it up there, how do you mark the windows out? Because you know they're around the outside. So yeah, that's going to be a bit of a challenge, I've got to be honest. So, but first I need to cut the wood. So that's what I'm going to go and do, and I'll give that a thought while I do it. So, as you can see, cut the panel there, and the answer was cut the panel, take the windows out because they're so easy to remove. It's a joke. If I show you quickly the thing there's just brackets on the inside. There's just a rubber that seals it. Pop the windows out, scribe the plyboard from the outside, take it back down again, cut two nice holes, and just in the proceeds of stapling around the windows before I put the window openings, before I put the windows back in. That's really all there is to it. As you can see, it's actually starting to look really nice now, so quite pleased with that. And thanks very much to Angela, who's the wife that is, who's been helping me out. So she was holding the boards while I was outside scribing for England. Anyway, onwards with the stapling. Well, another busy day. So as you can see, I've now got the bottom panel in there for the side piece, and I've just resealed all of that window, having taken it out, marked around the board, cut the board, also cut the board and inserted a power socket backing, so that's all ready to go. As you can see, it's now starting to look a bit more like a habitable area. Still a way to go. Next piece that's going in tomorrow is the bit right along the top there, and then this piece here, just see if I can go into wide angle mode. This is going to be one piece going straight up to the top. Got to put a couple of blanking panels in this. This is an outside air vent that was for the fridge that used to sit right there. But that's moving to the other side now, so you can see the wiring's all ready to go, so I'm gonna have to work around that. Putting the boards on is one thing, but obviously burying the cables into the wall as much as possible is something else. But yeah, all in all, not a bad day's work for a Saturday. Sunday we'll crack on, and then once we've got the left hand side, we're looking at this backwards, the left hand side sorted, I'll crack on and start doing the other side. because now my new board has arrived, I can turn my thoughts to the ceiling, which has only got one panel in at the moment, yeah, I think that'll be good. So I'm going to stop there for today and go and have my dinner.